Does it give you some sense, not of joy, but of relief at least, that he's potentially facing some consequences? Because, as you've said before, this guy's a con artist, and he's gotten away with it for years.
I'm not calling him, I'm tired of calling him names. He just can't be anywhere near the office of the presidency. It's funny, I was just thinking that he actually became president. He could have done good things. Instead, he had to do it all wrong.
Ever wonder what happens when you mix a Hollywood legend with a former president? Spoiler alert, it's not pretty, folks. Robert De Niro just went full raging bull on Trump, and let's just say the gloves are off. In this corner, we've got Bobby D throwing verbal haymakers like he's back in the ring. And in the other corner, well, we've got the Mar-a-Lago Mauler himself trying to duck and weave. But can Trump's Twitter fingers match De Niro's acting chops in this war of words? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Ever wondered what happens when a Hollywood tough guy decides to take on a real-life politician?
We've heard you talk about the former president. You have called him a fraud, a con artist. You've said he's a New Yorker like you, and you have watched this brand of BS.
I think of how absurd it is. And this might be the one case where that could be it for him. It's a state case. He's sick. He is really, genuinely a sick person that somehow has been allowed into our system.
Well, folks, we're about to find out, and let me tell you, it's spicier than a jar of Trump's favorite taco sauce. Robert De Niro, the guy who made "You Talking to Me?" a catchphrase, has been throwing shade at Trump since way back in 2011. But lately, he's cranked up the heat like someone accidentally sat on the thermostat at Mar-a-Lago. From calling Trump a dog to a pig to a national disaster, De Niro's insults are getting hotter than the inside of Trump's spray tan booth. It's like he's auditioning for a new movie, Taxi Driver 2: MAGA Meltdown. Remember when De Niro dropped the F-bomb at the Tony Awards? The audience went wilder than Trump's hair in a hurricane. He stood up there and said, "I'm gonna say one thing, F Trump." Talk about a plot twist. The censors were probably sweating more than Trump during a cognitive test. But De Niro's not just talking the talk, he's walking the walk. He showed up at Trump's trial like he was ready to film Goodfellas Courtroom Edition. Maybe he was hoping to catch Trump in the act of asking someone if they think he's funny, like some kind of judicial joker.
He's so blatantly stupid. He's a punk, he's a dog, he's a pig, he's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't do his homework. It makes me so angry that this country has gotten to this point, that this fool, this bozo, has wound up where he has. He talks how he wants to punch people in the face. Well, I'd like to punch him in the face. Thinks he's gaming society, doesn't pay his taxes. He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best. He's a national disaster. He's an embarrassment to this country. This is somebody that we want for president? I don't think so.
Here's the kicker, though. De Niro called Trump a deep fake president. Looks like someone's been binge watching Black Mirror between takes. It's like he's trying to out-tech Trump's kafif moment with some sci-fi smack talk. But wait, there's more. De Niro's not pulling any punches. He's like a one-man wrecking ball against the Trump Tower of ego. He called Trump a total loser and said he doesn't care about the American people. Ouch, that's gotta hurt more than trying to drink water with one hand. And get this, De Niro even compared Trump to historical baddies. He said, "Trump is worse than any of the worst dictators and leaders we've had." Whoa there, Bobby. That's like saying Trump's comb-over is worse than all the bad haircuts in history combined.
You've played a lot of bad guys. Would you ever play Donald Trump?
Never. There's nothing about him, there's not one redeeming thing in him that I can see, ever. He's so, as we all know, so narcissistic and self-centered. I don't think they really understand. And historically, from what I see, even in Nazi Germany, they had it with Hitler.
Well, folks, it looks like our favorite orange-tinted reality TV star is at it again. You'd think with all his legal troubles, Trump would have bigger fish to fry. But nope, he's got his tiny Twitter fingers aimed squarely at Bobby D. And let me tell you, his comebacks are about as impressive as his hair on a windy day. So what brilliant zingers has the master of You're Fired cooked up this time? Brace yourselves, because this is some real high-level stuff. Trump, in all his infinite wisdom, decided to call De Niro, wait for it, punchy. Yep, that's it, punchy. I guess when you're busy trying to remember which courtroom you're supposed to be in, coming up with clever nicknames takes a back seat. But wait, there's more. In a late-night Twitter tantrum that probably had his lawyers reaching for the Advil, Trump decided to critique De Niro's movies. According to the tweeter-in-chief, they aren't worth much anymore.
About who Donald Trump was in 2016. You're a lifetime New Yorker, so is he, and you said the country does not realize who this fraudster is, and not enough people listened. Do you think they'll listen now?
Either for self-preservation, because they actually believe it, or they're deluding themselves, or whatever. But then when that happens, and you walk into a restaurant, you see people you used to know, and all of a sudden you will see things that, like you'll see, it's like invasion of the body snatchers. You'll see people you knew or you thought you knew all of a sudden changing, all of a sudden going with that side.
Really, Donald? That's like a squirrel critiquing Einstein's theory of relativity. I mean, has he seen Goodfellas or Taxi Driver or literally any movie De Niro's been in for the past 5 decades? And get this, Trump boasted that De Niro was met with a force greater than the radical left MAGA. Ooh, scary. What's that supposed to mean? A bunch of angry tweets from keyboard warriors in their mom's basements? I'm sure De Niro is quaking in his boots. But here's the kicker, folks. Instead of addressing any of the actual criticisms De Niro made, Trump's just throwing out personal attacks like confetti at a sad clown parade. It's like watching a toddler try to win an argument by sticking out his tongue and going, nuh-uh. You know, there's an old saying that goes, never wrestle with a pig, you both get dirty, and the pig likes it. Well, in this case, it seems like De Niro's wrestling with a very orange, very Twitter happy pig. And let me tell you, that pig is having the time of his life rolling around in the mud of his own making. While we've been laughing at this Hollywood heavyweight versus Twitter troll showdown, something sneaky's been happening. The real issues are getting lost in the shuffle, like a wallet at a pickpocket convention. It turns out, when celebs and politicians start slinging mud, it's not just their reputations that get dirty. Our news feeds do too. Instead of hearing about healthcare or climate change, we're stuck watching 2 rich guys yell at each other. It's like a Real Housewives reunion, but with less wine throwing and more Twitter tantrums. Maybe it's time we change the channel on this reality show and tune into something that actually matters. After all, while De Niro and Trump are busy playing verbal ping pong, the world keeps spinning. And let's face it, the planet's getting hotter faster than Trump's temper after a mean tweet. So maybe it's time we all became the directors of our own political drama and started focusing on the plot points that really count.